Okay, very quickly, my dream Stanley Cup final will be the Toronto Maple Leafs of Austin Matthews versus Patrick Laine and my team, the Winnipeg Jets. And here's the reason why. The Jets got to the conference final this year against Vegas, and yeah, okay, we lost 4-1. But against Nashville, Game 7 in the round before, 11 million Canadians, or thereabouts, watched them win in Game 7. That's a third of Canada watching a team whose metropolitan area that they play in is about 1.5, 2 million people, at max, approximate. I think 900,000 people live in Winnipeg, and if you add the metropolitan area, it's about 1.4 million. So yeah, about 3% of Canada lives in the Winnipeg area. 33% of Canada watched them beat Nashville. So the Canadian TV marketed it very well. Imagine if they played the Maple Leafs. Does that mean 2/3 Canadians will follow the Maple Leafs and a third Canadians will follow the Jets? Or would that be like 50-50? Because they became Canada's team this Stanley Cup run. They did. They really did. The Maple Leafs have got the biggest fan base. They play in the biggest market in the NHL, Toronto. But the Jets became Canada's team. Biggest market, Canada's team. You work that out. Those two teams playing each other. Canada's going to stop for 2 weeks. Canada will just be on holiday. Now, the Americans can't cope. The American networks, the American fans can, but the Americans can't cope with a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final because their ratings go down the toilet because they don't market it right. But obviously, Canadian teams didn't make the Stanley Cup final this year. Neither team did. They got close. Both teams were in the playoffs last year. All American final. All American final. Vegas versus Washington. Still loads of Canadians. What, I think it's 7 million Canadians or something watched the Stanley Cup final, something like that. Highest viewership figures for the Stanley Cup final ever. That includes Americans. I think Vegas is starting to change the perception of how you market NHL playoffs to the American people. I think 16 million people watched the Jets Nashville series in Game 7. It's doable. But then you've got to look at the... so you imagine the viewership of that. Not just in Canada or North America, but around the world. People will find a way to watch that. Yeah, I would have many late nights. I don't think I'd be sleeping if these two teams were to play each other. I really don't. Youth and experience. You've got, Wheeler and Bufflin and, in the Jets lineup. But the average age of the Jets is quite a young team. Same with the Maple Leafs. You've got Marner and Matthews. That's a very young lineup. Yes, you added Tavares, but he's not actually that old. He's not even 30. He's still 28, same age as me. Patrick Laine, yeah, okay, he's 10 years older, but two of the youngest teams in the league right now. Two of the highest scoring teams in the league right now. And their defensive depth is terrifying. Their weakness is at centre and backup goalie. Their weakness is defence. And Anderson made several big errors. Even in the playoffs and the regular season, he had his moments where he hit a cold streak in it. And McElhinney, whilst being a good backup, he's not quite ready to take over more duties yet. So, defence and goal, centre and goal. So, creativity down the middle. If one of their four centres gets injured, there is a problem. We'd have to play with 11 forwards and an extra defenseman. But defensive depth, they have an extra 3 pairings. Yeah, they've got too many forwards, they've got too many defence, but they've got enough forwards to make 2 extra forward lines. That's how much depth they have outside of centre. Roslovic could become a centre. He projects to be a grinding third liner. Is he a centre? Is he a winger? We don't know, but he's a useful utility forward. But centre's an issue there, defence is an issue there. But my God, can you imagine the scoreline in every game? I can remember when Matthews and Laine first played against each other. It was insane. Matthews scores 4 goals in the first game of the season. Maple Leafs lose. Laine scores a hat-trick in the second game of the season when these two guys play each other in 2016. Leaf Jets win. These guys can score 3-4 goals a game by themselves. They can win a game on their own. Matthews had the better first season. Laine had the better second season. Laine has played more games in both playoffs and regular season. Matthews has had more injuries. but their points totals, points per game average, goals per game average, roughly the same. Obviously, he's more a creative player because he's a centre, but Liney does have a lot of assists himself as a winger. He also he's got a slap shot that's terrifying, and a wrist shot, very much like Ovechkin on the power play. Can also bring other players into play by being around the crease, getting the rebound, or having shots, rebounds, and another forward coming in. He can either crash the net or help players crash the net. Matthews, not quite the finished article yet. Neither player is. But Liner, I think, is developing quicker than anticipated. Matthews, with his injuries, concussions, not developing as quickly. Third season's going to be interesting. And this is a very likely Stanley Cup final, ironically enough, because the Jets and the Leafs looking good. Tavares to that lineup. Okay, lost Stasny, but they have space to add Carlson. Because Truva is trade bait. What more could you ask? Two young, exciting teams with a few veterans in there. Good leadership calls kept together. Vital. A lot of these players have been with the team for a while. They've gone through the hard times. They know what it's like to not be great. Not quite get it right. Last season, they got it right. So they've learned from their defeats. These guys, rip it down, start again. Their rebuild's gone very well. Thank Lou Lamoriello for that, and Brendan Shanahan. They're having a change in GM. They stuck with coach and GM in Paul Maurice, Kevin Shell day off when the media and the fans were going to sack them both, and it's paid off. They've been patient. They've decided to go, enough's enough of losing. These teams both need success. No Stanley Cups in 67, no Stanley Cup final appearance. In my lifetime, neither team has got to the Stanley Cup final. In my lifetime, both teams have had horrific seasons and also record-breaking season. And they, I think, had some record-breaking seasons as well in recent years for goals scored. So they've started to turn it around. Would be epic. But in the comment section below, what's your dream Stanley Cup final? Very interested to hear what you would say is your dream Stanley Cup final. Please like, subscribe, place your comments below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.